सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयं यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। जाति कर्मादि सत्वाद्धि तस्मिन् शब्दास्त्वहंकृते न कश्चिद् वर्तते शब्दः तदभावात् स्व आत्मनि आवासो यत्हा। So jati karmadi dharmattvadhi tasmin ahankriti shabdaha tasmin ahankriti ahankare in aham vritti. Savase vritti is avasa, the reflection, call it, is always there. So whenever we talk of vritti, any vritti, including aham vritti, avasa, every vritti reflects consciousness of savase, ahankare, aham vritto. He nischitam jati karmadi shabda pravritti nimittatvat. In ahankara there is jati. Ahankara will identify, that's the job, that's the nature of ahankara. Ahankara calls, I am a brahmana, I am a man, woman. Karma, he identifies himself as a driver, speaker, teacher, pranamai, pranamana bhavati, breather, seer. So all of these are applicable. Jati, karma, guna, sambandha. All of these visheshas are applicable to ahankara. That ahamvritti, along with the reflection of consciousness alone, is called ahankara, meaning a sense of individuality. Shabdaha pravartante. Therefore, the shabda, the words, have their reach up to ahankara. Shabda can only reach that which possesses the attributes of jati, kriya, guna, sambandha, and aham vritti possesses that. Therefore, shabda, even aham shabda also has its reach up to this ahankara. Tad abhavat. But in Atma, the self, which is the content of ahankara, ahankara that way becomes a very appropriate entity to focus attention to know the self, just as an ornament becomes an entity to focus attention to know the nature, which is content, which is gold. So gold has no name, no form really. The Alankara has. So Atma does not have name, form, any qualification. Ahankara has. Except that all this name, form, qualification of aham vritti or ahankara are subject to being negated. Because they are conditionally there, therefore in unconditional content they are not there. So in Atma, that is the content of ahankara. Meaning that one can pursue an investigation up to ahankara by reducing name, form and everything. And that process then ultimately must be then replaced by the nishedha. Recognizing that all those visheshas which are available for being described by Shabda, all of them are, they don't have a real reality. They are result of the superimposition. And that way, that is when Nisheda is the ultimate thing, then what is, so Ahankar itself reduces to the Nirvishesha Chaitanya. Ahavinasavaji, aham taya sfurtirutsvayam paramapurna sat. Says Ramana Maharshi that when Ahankara, the Prakriya may be different of Ramana Maharshi. And our Prakriya is the Nisheda Prakriya. But Ahaminashabhaji, Ahankara is recognized to be Nashabhag, meaning that Nashvara. And so that part of Ahankara which is Nashvara, that part of Ahankara is Shashvata, and one is the costume, the Upadhi is Nashvara, and so when that costume is not there, Upadhi is not there, identification is not there. So even though the identification takes place habitually by default, the de-identification has to be done deliberately. That's the idea. Then where Ahankara is shining, there Chaitanya shines. That's how it's explained. Atmani nirupadike kaschidapi shabdo na pravartate. No word, not even the word Atma, can directly describe what Atma is. If a word can describe, then that entity becomes the Vishaya or object of the word. Atma that way cannot become the object of the word. Now then, continuing with verse 29, Tika says, Swata siddha swarupam atmani pravrutti nimitta jatyadi abhavat kaschidapi shabdo na pravartate swarupe atmani. Swata siddha swarupe atmani. Now Atma is swata siddha. The reason why no pramana is applicable, the reason why no pramana has its reach in Atma is because no pramana is necessary. It may look like even Atma is not available, perception, inference, no means of knowledge. That is because a means of knowledge is meant to reveal its object. Atma is self-revealing, therefore no means of knowledge is required. And Shabda is ultimate means of knowledge to reveal, which also doesn't have its reach in Atma. So Swata Siddha Swarupe Atmani. Atma whose Swarupa is Swata Siddham, self-existing, self-shining. Pramana is meant to illumine something that cannot illumine itself. But Atma is self-shining, therefore doesn't require something else to illumine that. प्रवृत्ति निमित्त जात्यादि अभावात्. Therefore, Shabda can describe Atma if Atma was possessed of Jati, Kriya, Guna, some Vishesha. Kasyadevasad na pravartate chet. So, because of this nature of Atma, Shabda cannot have a scope with reference to Atma, meaning Shabda cannot describe Atma. Atma cannot become the object of description of Shabda or a word or a statement. Katham tasya Vedanta Vedyataya Aupanishadam Udghushyate. Tvantu Aupanishadam Purusham Bruhi. Yajnavalkya asked Shakalya, tell me about the Upanishad. Upanishad Ekagamya, the Purusha, the Paramatma, that can be known only through Upanishad. Tell me about that. So why is Atma called Upanishad Purusha? Purusha, the Paramatma, that is revealed by Upanishad. And Upanishads are only in form of words. If word does not have access to Atma, then Upanishads which are of the nature of words, how can they become the Pramanam? So why is Atma Upanishad Purusha? Katham tasya, in what way? Vedanta Vedyataya Upanishadatvam Udghushyate Udghoshana. How is it declared? The Atma is Upanishad Purusha. Purusha means one that shines, it is complete or perfect, or it is the self of all. So if Shabda has no scope with reference to revealing Atma, then how can Upanishads also be the Pramanam for knowledge of Atma? The answer is Abhaseti. So next verse is verse 29. Abhaso yatra tatraiva Shabdah pratyagdrushim sthitah Lakshayeyurna sakshatam Avidadyuh kathanchana. So the anvaya of this verse is Yatra avasah tatraiva sthitaha shabdaha pratyagdrushim lakshayeyuhu. Yatra avasa, where the avasa is, where the, say, reflection is. Tatra sthitaha shabdaha. The shabda, the words, obtaining at the level of avasa, which is ahankara. Pratyagdrushim lakshayeyuhu. So words that describe ahankara. Ahankara is available for being described by words, like aham, words itself. So that aham word has its scope up to avasa or reflected aham vritti, containing reflection of consciousness. So shabdaha, the words that are applicable to this ahankara, is aham vritti with the reflection of consciousness. So, what do those words do? Aham, Atma, etc. Pratyek drushim, pratyek druk is innermost druk or the witness. The self, again, pratyek druk is also a word anyway, but so that pratyek, the innermost, druk means the self, the witness. Lakshayeyuhu, those words such as Atma, etc., which primarily apply to ahankara, also are able to reveal Atma by lakshana vritti. So this is the Vedanta's main weapon. The Shabda not only has the Vachyartha, an immediate meaning, has Lakshyartha, a targeted meaning, Lakshya, a target. So by Lakshana Vritti, So Shabda then becomes a nimitta. It's an arrow, like an arrow. So Shabda also becomes nimitta, which also is, the arrow is dropped for you to reach destination. So also the Shabda is dropped, revealing there its targeted meaning, lakshyartha, implied meaning. The sakshatam abhidadyuhu. Abhidhanam means the vachyartha. Abhidhanam means noun, name. Those words cannot sakshat directly describe Atma. They reveal Atma by lakshana implication and not as an immediate meaning. So this is the statement. Why do you say that the Shabda cannot describe the self? Nahi ajatyadiman kaschidartha shabdaihi nirupyate. Kaschidartha, no entity. Ajatyadiman, an entity that does not possess the qualification of jati, kriya, guna, shabda. No entity can be such as that, nirvishesha, can be described by words. Meaning that which nirvishesha cannot be the vachyartha of the shabda. Those shabdas, they only by lakshana vritti, they only reveal the Atma. So Tikakara says, yatra, wherever, ahankaradau, ahankara, etc. Abhasa chaitanya pratibimbodaya. Yatra abhasa. Abhasa means chaitanya pratibimbodaya, where that which reflects the consciousness, like aham vritti, or any other vritti for that matter, any other entity which reveals, which reflects asti bhadi priyam, that name and form. Tatreva abhasa avivikte antahkaranadau. There only that antahkaranam or aham vritti, abhas avivikte, which is not separate from abhas, aham vritti with abhas, you cannot. So aham vritti along with abhas or reflected consciousness, any entity along with reflected consciousness alone can become the direct meaning of the word. Vachakatvena sthitaha. So those shabdas are vachakatvena sthitaha. They obtain as vachaka, as the direct meaning of those which are possessed of the abhasa, the reflection of consciousness. So that includes aham vritti, any other vritti, any other object. Any object that is out there as a ghatapata becomes a vritti in my mind, and that vritti reflects consciousness, and that is what can be described by a word. Therefore, an entity such as a pot or a flower, which reflects or which manifests as the vritti or a particular thought in my mind, that vritti reflects the consciousness, that becomes that available for being described in words. But the witness, so entity or vrittis with reflected consciousness, that is available for being described by words. But what about that which is reflected? Call it witness, consciousness, pratyak drik, the innermost consciousness, innermost witness. Pratyak drushim, so that's a nominative case. Pratyaktaya, so pratyak drushim lakshayeyuhu. Pratyaktaya bhasamanam drushim. Pratyak drushi is a compound samasa. Pratyaktaya bhasamana drushi. Drushi of the witness that shines as pratyak, as the innermost one, which is Atma. There's another way of describing Atma, the self, is pratyak druk. There is a druk. So Ahankara also can be drashta. The eka ahankriti vrityasya eka ahankriti anya antahkarana rupi. In the mind also ahankara is drashta and then rest of vrittis are drashya. But ahankara itself becomes drashya for the pratyak, the consciousness. So pratyaktaya bhasamanam drushim atmanam suddham lakshayeyuhu. These words such as Atma, only by Lakshana Vritti, by implication, they can reveal the consciousness which is the innermost witness. Lakshanaya jnapayeyuhu, by Lakshana Vritti, they can make you see or reveal. No sakshat abhidadyuhu, no word including Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Brahma Atma cannot directly reveal what is meant by those words. These words also, by Lakshana Vritti, reveal the truth. Kasanchana. So even the word of Upanishad also cannot directly reveal Atma. Only through Lakshana Vritti. Kasanchana Visheshanadi Prakarana. A word can be Visheshana and can reveal yellow, can be reveal, flower, etc. In that way also a Shabda cannot reveal Atma. So even whether words of Upanishad also cannot directly reveal Atma, but they can reveal Atma by Lakshana Vritti. So they do their job anyway. Ataha na Upanishado prasiddhi virodhayati. Therefore, if Atma is well known as Upanishad Purusha, revealed by the statement of Upanishad, that's nothing wrong because those statements, Lakshana Vritti, do reveal the self. Kasam na abhidadyu, why do you say that those words cannot directly reveal Atma? Atma is not the immediate meaning of those words. Why? So the one line of the verse 30 says, Nahyajatyaadiman kaschita arthashabdair nirupyate. He, prasiddhi, well known, nahi ajatyadiman kaschit, any entity which is not possessed of jatya, jati, adi, so jati, kriya, guna, sambandha. Nahi kaschid artha shabdahi nirupyate. No entity which is devoid of the jati, kriya, guna, sambandha, vishesha can ever reveal by shabda, and Atma is that. Therefore, shabda cannot directly reveal. Atma cannot have abhidhan, abhideya sambandha, but then laksha, lakshana, lakshya sambandha. Then, next question. Lakshanaya yatra shabdasya tatparyam seva shabdartha. So what is shabdartha? Shabdartha shabdasya artha, the meaning of the word. So when there is a word, like a pot, then shabdartha padartha, the object is shabdartha, padartha, the meaning of the word pot, or the word the meaning describes. So that is how pot is the vachyartha, the literal meaning of the word pot. But Atma is not vachyartha of any word, it is only lakshyartha. But doesn't matter. Nanu lakshanayapi yatra shabdasya tatparyam. What is the meaning of a word? The Vedantins will say that the tatparyartha, the meaning intended by the vakta is the real meaning of the word. So when a vakta or a speaker uses a word, he has some tatparya, some purpose for using that word. And that should be the meaning of the word, even though grammatically that word may convey something different. But in a given statement, the meaning of a word is what is intended by the one who uses that word. So Upanishads are all those who are using the words. And they use these words Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Satyam Jnana Anand by Lakshana Vritti. Alright. Lakshana api yatra shabdasya tatparya. So tatparyartha is the meaning of what is tatparya. What is the purport, what is the intended meaning? Meaning intended by the user of the word. Seva shabdartha. So when the Upanishad says Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, the word Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam are to be understood in the sense in which Upanishad has employed them. So word Satya may have a meaning in our colloquial language. Well, these are all familiar words, so Upanishad also has to use familiar words to convey. But whenever a word is uttered like Satyam or Jnanam or Anantam, they are being used by us also in our day-to-day communication. And we have a certain meaning, in certain sense they are used. So in Upanishad also uses those words, we understand in the same sense. Therefore, that's the Vachyartha. So therefore, someone like Bhashyakara takes the statement Satyam Jnanam Brahma, analyzes what can possibly be the meaning intended by the Upanishad. Even the word Satya has a meaning, Vachyartha, in which we understand, and Jnanam and Anantam. What possibly could be the meaning intended by the Upanishad? Because only that's called Tatparyartha. What is the intended meaning by the speaker? Then only we understood the word or a sentence. If you understand the sense in which the user used them. And that is why, as far as the Upanishads are concerned, the main task of Bhashyakara is to determine Tatparyartha. With our orientation and our understanding, we may understand those words in our way. We should understand those words in the sense in which the Upanishad intended them. What is that? What is the purport? To determine that is the job of the Bhashyakara, basically. What is the meaning in which the words are used by the Shastra? So then that becomes the meaning of the word, not what you understand in the common way, but what is the intended meaning. So, Saeva Shabdartha. So, Tatparyartha, the meaning intended by the user of the word is the real meaning. So, Lakshyat also becomes the meaning. Tathacha Atmadi Sabdanam Ahankara Atirikte Pratyagatmai Ched Vritti. Therefore, the previous verse said that the Shabdaha Abhase Sthitaha Shabdaha, the words that are by Vachyartha mean Abhasa, Ahankara, like Satya, Jnana, etc. All those words by Lakshana Vritti reveal the Atma. So thus Ahankara Atirikte Atmani Vritti. So even though the words used by Upanishads, the immediate meaning of the words of Upanishad will be Ahankara, the Lakshyata would be Atma. Therefore, Lakshyata should be the meaning because that is the sense in which the Upanishads use them. Kasam tarhi lokaha ahankaradu atmashuddham prayunchante. If by the word Atma the Upanishad intends the Lakshyartha, then why do people in the day-to-day life also use the word Atma, etc.? For they call Ahankara Atma. When we use the word I, then we use it in the sense of ahankara. Whereas when Upanishad says, I am Brahman, that I is by lakshyartha. So these words are used in Upanishad by lakshyartha. Then why do people use those words in vachyartha? So that is also a meaning in which people use tat. When I use the word I, my tatpara is an ahankara, so that also becomes a meaning. When Upanishad uses the word I, it is lakshyartha, that also becomes a meaning. If tatparyartha becomes meaning, then tatparyartha of the word atma or I is satyam jnanam anantam consciousness. Now, how come people use the word I in this sense of ahankara also? What do they call ahankara also as I? Iti apekshayam. See, this is the subtle analysis now of the shabda going on. That apeksha is there. Upacharat iti sadushtantamaha. In a figurative way, secondary way, upacharat. Because you do not know the true meaning, therefore you may be using it for vyavahara. Because the meaning in which Upanishads use the word, they are not capable of vyavahara. Otherwise you bring that and this said, like Ramana will say, this is writing, what is this? So if you use these words in the sense in which the Upanishad uses, vyavahara is not possible. Bring the clay, but this is it's pot. So for vyavahara you call it pot. Upanishad is clay. So for vyavahara we are using then. How come the same words like Atma, etc., used by Upanishads in Lakshyartha, how come the same words are used by people, in their day-to-day life? Upacharat, in a gaune, secondary sense, sadvishtantama atma bhasa iti shlokena. So next verse is Atma vaso yatha hankruta Atma shabdaistathocyate Ulmukadau yatha jnarthaha Pararthatvan chanjasa. यथा अहंकृत आत्माभास है आत्म शब्द ही तथा उच्यते अहंकृत अहम वृत्ति अहंकार आत्माभास assume that it possesses so atmatvam is there in aham vrutti also by abhasa atma is present, therefore in a secondary sense atma bhasa is used as atma atma shabde तथा उच्यते. The drishtanta is yatha ulmukadau. Ulmuka means burning a piece of wood, like a torch, mashal, Yatha ajnarthaha. So when a torch burns, the torch has burned. Like Narsi Mehta is watching their rasa, lila. And they say, come on, hold this torch. He is given a torch. And so engrossed, they say that the torch got burned and then he started burning his hand and he did not know. So, what burned his hand? The torch burned his hand. Mashal. Ulmukadau yatha ajnarthaha. So, what burnt is fire, but what do we say? The torch burned. So, even though we say torch burned, that word torch must ultimately resolve into fire, because what burns is fire. So, how in a secondary sense, the word torch is used for fire. Similarly, also in a secondary sense, the word aham is used for atma. Nacha anjasa, not immediately. So when the torch burns, we do not mean in immediate sense, Only lakshyartha that the fire burns. So that is how the vyavahara can go on. If the fire burns, then what fire? Fire is torch also, fire is lamp also, a lot of things. So fire is in many things. The fire burned, then you would not understand what is. So the torch burned him. Then only we can communicate. So in vyavahara we can communicate. Only when we use this secondary sense, bring a pot. Why don't you bring clay? So for vyavahara we have to use only these words which can distinguish one object from the other. So torch also can burn, an ember also can burn, many things like water also can burn, tea also can burn. Tea burned my lips. Fire burned my lips. You don't say, because we will not be able to convey exactly what happened. Therefore, for vyavahara, we use these words also. Although we mean fire. We say, this morning my lips were burned by tea. My hand is burned by hot water. So how this is called the upachara. In a figurative manner, in the day-to-day life also we use these words. So also Upanishad uses those words. So meaning that there is not an uncommon practice. Upanishad giving lakshyartha is not uncommon because we also use lakshyartha when we mean torch or water, we mean fire. Not uncommon way. So, therefore, what is shabdartha? When torch burn, what's the meaning of the word torch? Fire. Tea burn, what's the meaning of tea? Fire. And still, fire in a particular form burned me. Atma in a particular form, like ahankara, is called Atma. So, tikas ahankara, ahankara. So, ahankara vastutah anatmapi. You know, ahankara in reality, the anatma means aham vritti. Sabhas ahankara, it contains abhas also is also anatma. Because that will be clarified subsequently. Abhas also is different from atma, or atma is different from abhas, put it this way. Ahankara vastutah anatma. Even though sabhas ahankara is in reality anatma, meaning atma is separate from ahankara, put it that way. Atma bhasah atvat asmat pratyalambano bhasate. Even though atma is different from ahankara, still ahankara which atma bhasah, which carries a reflection of atma, which looks like atma, behaves like atma. Therefore atma becomes the alambana, becomes the locus of the word atma. Ahankara becomes the alambana, the locus of the word atma, because it shines like atma. Even though it is not atma, it shines like atma. Tatha atmadi shabdeyapi yatha pratibhasam uchyate. Therefore, that word atma, etc., yatha pratibhasam uchyate. So whatever that shines as atma, that is what is meant by the word atma. No? Therefore, the immediate meaning of atma is only ahankara. And word atma will reveal the true nature only by lakshyartha. Vastugatyatu sabda pratyayo suddheva atmani parivasanam. In ultimate sense, the shabda atma and pratyaya, the concept atma. See, concept atma distinguishes me from everything else. So that's why we use your I, which excludes you and everything other than I, to narrow down. So we use the word I or atma to narrow down. But it narrows, excludes what is not Atma, but still does not describe Atma. So, the word Atma serves the purpose of excluding what is not Atma. And then helps us now to focus attention upon, having excluded Anatma, then focus attention upon what you call Atma to realize the true meaning of Atma. So the words do serve the purpose. But Atma, even though does not describe Atma, still it serves the purpose of excluding what I know as Anatma. And then, by focusing attention as the scriptures tell me, I recognize that, then that, the true nature of Atma, where there also Anatma part falls. That's why we said, Yushmat the artha nishedaha. In the word Atma also, the Yushmadartha is there, Upadhyamsha is there. By letting it go, the true nature of Atma is recognized. Vastu gatyatu shabda pratyaho Shuddhevatmani pariyavasanam. So even though by Vachyartha, Shabda and Pratyaya reveals Ahankara, by Lakshyartha ultimately, the Avasanam, they culminated into revealing the true nature of Atma. Yatha Agnyarthaha, Shabdaha, just as words meant for fire. Meant for fire. They do not mean fire. Dahati adaya ulmukam dahati. So we say dahati, burns. What we mean is fire. But how do we say that? Ulmukam dahati, the torch burns. Ayo dahati, the iron burns. So this is a common experience of cooking, and therefore the frying pan burnt me, the oil burnt me. Swami tel udu, hath par udu, came to my friend. The oil from the frying pan flew and landed on my hand and burnt me. And that's the only way to say, you can't say fire, but what do you mean fire? The gas flame burnt you? No. Fire in the form of oil. So fire in that oil burnt me. But then, if the fire burnt me, you won't be able to convey exactly what happened. So you say that oil burnt me. But what is meant is fire, which is associated with the oil. So, ulmukam dahati, ayo dahati. Ayas means the iron. So whatever is made of iron, it may be frying pan also, it may be something else. Ulmukado prayujyamanaha anjasa sakshat ulmukado nata parivastyanti. So even when we say that the oil burned me, we do not mean that oil burned me, we only mean fire burned me. So what oil by Lakshana Vritti means fire. The immediate meaning is oil, by Lakshana Vritti means fire. So meaning that word oil does not only reduce to oil, it reduces to fire. So na ulmukadav anjasa saksha ulmukadav chana parivastyanti. Even though you say that the torch burned me, that word torch does not ultimately culminate into torch. Tesham dahyadi ashatvanupatte. Because torch itself cannot burn, it is fire alone can burn. Dahati adi shabdanam pararthatvat. So we said torch burns, that burns is not torch, but burns, the fire that burns. Tavyakti avyakta ajñartatvat. Torch burns is what? The fire manifesting in torch is what burns. Agnueva parivastyanti. So word torch ultimately by Lakshana Vritti means Agni. Why do you use the word torch? But in Vyavahara we have to do that to communicate exactly what happened. Otherwise, bring gold. What do you mean bring gold? Oh, you mean the chain, but gold means what? So you say chain. Although by chain you mean gold. But still, the word chain does not only culminate into chain. It culminates to gold. You want to wear gold, not chain. Nobody wears chains and stuff like that. Although you can wear an iron chain also, nobody wears that. You call it chain, what you mean is gold. तथा अहंकारस्य आत्म अभिव्यक्त्यर्थत्वात्. So also word ahankara immediately means individual self. When I use the word ahankara, even though the immediate meaning is individual self, what is meant by me is Atma, Satchitananda. So, therefore, tasmin jade parichinne paradina prakashe atmadi shabdaha. So, ahankara, which is the immediate meaning of Atma, is jada, is unconscious, parichinna, limited, paradina prakashe, requires to be illumined, is not self-shining. Atma adi shabdaha, then also I use Atma, which is what? Which is consciousness, and which is limitless, which is self-shining. Sadananda, Anantadhyartha, Sat Shabda, Ananda Shabda, Anantadi, all these words. Anupadyamana, even though it is not right or tenable that these words, Satyam, Jnanavanta, we use for Ahankara, but then by Vicharyamana, but then those words have to be Vicharya. We have to deliberate on the meaning of those words. When somebody says that oil burned me, we deliberate on the word. Although we may be so quick in deliberating, therefore right away we may arrive at the conclusion it is fire, but some deliberation has gone on. What did you say? Oil burned me. Oh, you mean fire burned you. So, some vichara, meaning a deliberation is required to arrive at the lakshyartha from vachyartha. You follow? So, that word ulmuka or ayaha, ayo dahati, ulmukam dahati. So, we have to then deliberate about what is meant by, what does it mean by iron burnt him? Frying pan burned him. What do you mean? So then we do the vichara. Can frying pan burn? No. Only iron can burn. So by the word frying pan, the person means iron associated with frying pan. Thus by vichara, this is called vichara. That's what Vedanta does. So Upanishad teaches in words, we need vichara to arrive at the meaning in which those words are used. Sometimes the meaning may be what we normally understand, sometimes meaning may be lakshyartha different. So therefore what Bhashyakaras do is that they do vichara. Deliberating upon the meaning of the statements of Upanishad is called vichara. You follow? What is vichara? Deliberation upon the meaning of the statements of Upanishad. Which deliberation will require yukti or upapatti or reasoning and so forth. So, deliberation accompanied with reasoning, appropriate reasoning, to arrive at the intended meaning of a word is called vichara. Atma vichara kartavya. What is meant by the word Atma? So this is what Vedantic texts do. Because Upanishad reveals something, it's pramanam. And Shabda also is pramanam. Pramanam is that which reveals the object of pramanam. But Shabda may not directly reveal the object. Shabda will reveal when you understand the intended meaning. So in case of Shabda, with eyes you don't require any deliberation. All of the pramanam like eye, your perception, etc., the meaning, they reveal the meaning directly, generally. But Shabda is that which may require deliberation. Although most of the Shabdas that we use in day-to-day language may not, may be familiar. But sometimes this way the communication takes place. Swamiji, my lips were burned by tea this morning. Then I have to deliberate on the word, meaning the word tea, to arrive at the intended meaning, fire. So that is called vichara, where the word tea, in fact, resolves into the fire, which is the intended meaning. So vicharyamane anupadyamana. So those words called satyam, jnanam, anantam, satchidananda, which are not tenable for ahankara, because not is ahankara is asat, achit, anananda. And still for that aham, this satchidananda word is used. So which doesn't make sense as the immediate meaning. So vicharyamana, in what sense these words are used? We realize that ahankara also has satchidananda and upadi. So upadi amsha has, is not the whole word is given up in this case, bhagatyaga lakshana. The upadi amsha is given up. Ahankara itself reveals its true nature. Vicharyamane suddheva parivastyanti. Therefore, the words, even though they are used like this, they do mean. By vichara, we arrive at the tatparyartha, intended meaning. So, word does a job. Even though the immediate meaning of the word may not do the job, the lakshyartha will do the salaka lakshayeyu. Then it says abhasoyatra iti shloke. Go back to the verse 28. No, 29. Abhasoyatra tatraiva. We just, this morning, that was the first verse we discussed. Shabda, the literal meaning of words is only where the abhasa is, like ahankara, etc. So they can only give the immediate meaning, vachyartha, and lakshyartha, they reveal the true meaning. Now the discussion becomes a little more complicated. Iti shloke siddhantena abhaso angikritah. Abhaso yatra tatreva, where the abhasa is, where the reflection is. Aham vritti reflects the consciousness. The reflection is the model anyway. But in some way you have to explain it, therefore, abhasa is also a model. You follow? Not that you imagine reflection and there is a bimba and pratibimba, etc. That is not to be taken in literal sense, but some way you have to convey. In some way you have to convey that the aham vritti, which is inert or unconscious by nature, is a vritti, still acts as though it is enlivened, and therefore somehow aham vritti also is a live thing. That's what we experience of it, that's what we think. So what impart that liveliness to aham vritti? Atma. How does it do? God knows. By sannidhi. In the very proximity of Atma, just as in the very proximity of that cloth, the crystal, for example, becomes colored. So in the very proximity of the Atma, the ahankara becomes enlivened. So then you say, it is reflected in aham vritti. Because we see that the water becomes lighted up when it receives the reflection of sun. So sankaha becomes enlivened. So you say it receives the reflection of consciousness. Don't stretch the word, they stretch it and then discuss also anyway. So then abhasavada, pratibimbavada, all these vadas come. And so here, abhaso iti shloke siddhantena abhas angikritah, that we do accept something called reflected consciousness, abhasa. That the aham vritti reflects consciousness, because then only aham vritti can be enlivened. Sachet aviparyasa vishishtataya bhasamanaha. That reflection now, Bheda viparyasa vishishtataya bhasamana. How does a reflection appear? A reflection appears as different from the image. So if face is called image, then that's a bimba. Then it's called pratibimba. So bimba, that's the image and reflection. Sometimes reflection also is called image, but anyway, image and reflection. So pratibimba is different from bimba, the image. Viparyasa, it also is reversed. The face is what is right appears on left and right. See, in the mirror, The face doesn't appear exactly what it is. It appears reversed. So even though I have something on my right cheek, there it appears on the left side. So viparyasa happens. So reflection is qualified by being different from the image as well as reversed, if you use the word reversed. So paramartha, aparama, what is the reality of that reflection? Is that reflection real or unreal? Paramartha, aparamartho vaiti. You use the word reflection. In what sense did you use? You mean there is real reflection? Or there is as no reflection? Paramartha, aparamartho vaiti. Vadi vipratipatya. Some people say reflection is real, some people say it is not. Samshaya, therefore the samshaya arises. Is reflection real or not real? Na paramartha is siddhantam. Siddhanta is, it is not absolutely real. So it is called mithya, or it is appearance. Iti vaktam. So this is what the Siddhantin wants to say. Drishtantamaha, the drishtanta of abhasa is given. The day-to-day experience of reflection is given. Mukhadanyayati, in the next verse. Mukhadanyo mukhabhasaha yatha darshanukarataha abhasan mukhamapyevam adarshanuvartanat. Mukhabhasa mukhadanya. The reflection of the face is different from reflection. Why? Adarsha anukara, because it follows the mirror. The reflection in the mirror, the nature of reflection is determined by mirror. So if mirror has spots in there, reflection also will spots. If mirror has distortion, reflection also will show distortion. Therefore, that is not the face. Mukhabhasa mukhadanya. The reflection of the face is different from the face. Why? Adarsha anukarataha. Because it only follows the mirror. The nature of reflection determined by mirror rather than by face. Therefore, in that sense, you can say reflection is different from the face. Abhasat mukhamapi evam. Evam mukhamapi abhasat anyah or anyam. Similarly also, the face is different from reflection. Ananuvartam, because the face does not follow mirror. Meaning face is not determined by a mirror and reflection is determined by a mirror, therefore reflection is different from face and face is reflection on mirror. For reflection, face reflection on, different from reflection is from face. This difference is first established on the reason. When you see, look at the mirror, your reflection, then it's different from face, not the face, because otherwise it would appear exactly what the face is. It appears as determined by the mirror. Sometimes you change the mirrors also, this mirror is no good. It shows all my deeds. Sometimes the mirrors are there, I magnify every spot on my face. I don't like this mirror. I want a mirror that shows my face in good, is good. So, therefore, the reflection is an independent entity, you can say, different from face. And of course, face is independent, that we know, because it doesn't depend upon it. So, reflection depends upon the mirror. That's why one, face does not depend on mirror, therefore it is different from. So, reflection is different from face because reflection is determined by mirror, and face is different from reflection because face is not determined by mirror. So, this is the reason for difference. Yatha mukhabhasa means mukha pratibimba. Abhasa or pratibimba reflection. Adarshanukartaha, that's what the verse says. Adarsha. Adarsha anukarta means so adarsha, bhava, abhavayoho anukarat. Adarsha bhava. The reflection will be seen if the mirror is there. Reflection is not there if mirror is not there. So reflection is determined by mirror. If mirror is there, reflection can be there, reflection is not independent. So adarsha bhav abhavayo anukarat. The reflection is if the mirror is, reflection is not if the mirror is not. Adarsha bhava, that mirror is. Adarsha abhava, mirror is anukara. So reflection follows, mirror is, reflection is, mirror is not, reflection is not. Anvaya vyatirika anuvidhayitvat. Anvaya, mirror is, reflection is. Vyatirika, mirror is not, reflection is not. So this anvaya vyatirika determines that the reflection is dependent upon mirror, follows the mirror, determined by mirror. Then is different from mukha. They reflect different from the face. What? Mukhat, grivasthanat, anagamapayataya sthitat anyah. What is the face? Which is on the neck. Anapayataya. The face doesn't come and go. The mirror comes and goes, so reflection comes and goes, so reflection agamapai. Whereas face anagamapai doesn't come and go, does not depend upon mirror. It is there on the griva. There is grivastham mukham, the face which is on the neck. Anya. So face is different because different characteristic. Reflection is one characteristic, dependent upon mirrors. Face is not. Mirror is there. Face is there. Mirror is not. Face is there. Na puna. So that way, the avasa, the reflection is different from the face. In this sense, not the reflection is real, that way it is different, but then reflection called different. Na swarupena iti yojyam. Avasa is not different swarupena by its essential nature because avasa also depends upon mukha. But from this standpoint, the avasa determines its own characteristics. Even if face does not have those characteristics, avasa has them. Because it derives its character from the mirror. So that way abhasa is as though a different entity from mirror, from face, and face is an entity different from reflection. So you can see how difference between reflection and face is established. Because reflection is a characteristic that it is determined by mirror. Whereas face is which is not determined by mirror. In that sense, reflection is one and face is different from reflection. Tatha sati bimba cheshtaya vinapi. If that pratibimba was not different, then bimba cheshtaya vinapi pratibimba cheshteta. If reflections are independent, swarupataya is not independent, na swarupena. We say reflection is different from face, but not the reflection its own reality that exists on its own, we don't mean. We say reflection is different from face, we don't mean that reflection exists on its own, because otherwise the face is not, then also reflection will be there. If reflection was independent, tasasati bimba cheshtaya vinapi pratibimba cheshtayati. So bimba is not there, so also pratibimba will be there. If it's independent, no. It's not independent, separate. Independent is different and separate is different. We do not say the reflection is independent, we say reflection is separate from face and face is separate from reflection. Understand? Abhasat mukham api evam anyadeva. Similarly, mukham, the face also, is different from reflection. Kuta? It is different criterion. The reflection is different from face because reflection follows the mirror and face does not follow the mirror, therefore they are different. And face is different from reflection because adarsh ananuvartanat, that face does not follow the mirror, doesn't depend upon the mirror. Adarsha nirapeksh, the being of the face and shining of the face are in and shining of the face are independent of the mirror. Therefore, this face has a characteristic different from that of reflection. Reflection has a characteristic different from the face, and therefore, reflection is different from face. Face is reflection different from reflection. In this sense, not that reflection is independent, therefore different. Reflection has characteristics different from that of face, and face has characteristics different from that of reflection. तथा च ग्रीवास्थस्यैव मुखस्य आदर्शे प्रतिबिम्बितस्य आदर्शता आदर्शस्थता वैशिष्ट्येन भासमानत्वमेव आभासत्वम्. So what is आभासत्वम्? What is that fact of being a reflection? Grivastasya eva mukhasya, in fact, the face which is really on the neck only. Adarshe pratibimbitasya, that is reflected in the mirror. Adarshastha. So what happens is that the reflection is within the mirror. Adarshasthata vaishishtyena. So reflection has its characteristic, it is characteristic that it is within the mirror. So it looks like it is within the mirror. Face is on the neck and reflection is within the mirror. Because otherwise we don't call it a reflection if it's somewhere else. It is within the mirror. So when you see it on a photograph, you don't call it reflection, you know. You can see your face in a photograph, that's not reflection. When you see it in the mirror, then you call it reflection, you follow? Because photograph doesn't follow characteristics, they look the same. This reflection will change as the mirror changes. You change the angle of the mirror and change, etc., the reflection also will change. And change the surface of the mirror. So the reflection is a special thing. Therefore, so, in this adarshastha vaishishtyena, adarshastha, sthata, that a reflection is within the mirror. That's the vishishtata, that is the nature of, characteristic of that reflection. So that is called abhasatva. What do you call a reflection? Abhasatva. What's the state of being reflection? That it appears in the mirror. It appears as though it is in the mirror. And it follows the characteristic of mirror. That's what makes it reflection. So what makes that entire reflection? That appears in the mirror and that is determined by the characteristics of the mirror. Tacha na satvat. Is that reflection satyam? Is it real? Mukha viyukta adarshe tijing nirikshamaneva tasmin adarshanat. If that reflection was real, then it may be there without the face also. Real means what? Is independent. If reflection was independent, really to appear there in the mirror without the face, but it does not. So you cannot call it real because it does not enjoy independent reality. It enjoys reality dependent upon face. So you cannot say that the pratibimba is real. Then do you say it is unreal? Not there? Napi asat. Aparoks, but see, it's the same thing like Rajju Sarpa. And so, what is it? Satchet na badhyeta, asatchet na pratiyeta. Rajju Sarpa, had it been real, then it cannot be negated. Is not there, then it cannot appear. So, face reflection also is there. Reflection was non-existent, you cannot see because you see it. You can't say it is real because it is badhayogyam. It's not there without the mirror. So, we arrive at the reality, or even though we call it different, we do not say in different satta, we say different in certain characteristic. It's taken to be different anyway. Reflection is, so, taken to be real and given some reality also. Why, how do I look like this, you know what? So, reflection also can affect me. Tasmad anirvachaniya avasa, therefore, Abhasa falls in the category of anirvachaniya, neither real, existing, nor non-existing. Tasma and mukham is real. So mukham is different from, face is different from the reflection. So this is what is first established, then they will, this example is now applied to our ahankara, etc. So, to explain the reality about ahankara and atma, so we'll continue that. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrahashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.